Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to my channel. Today, we have an unusual and very intriguing episode, which I hope will make you rethink your favorite animated movie and see it from a completely new perspective. We will be diving into one of the darkest and most captivating theories about the movie Inside Out. And I assure you that this viewpoint will raise many questions and reveal a whole new meaning for you. When we watch Inside Out, it seems like just a fun and touching story about how a young girl's emotions help her cope with difficult moments in life. But what if I told you there's a theory suggesting that the entire story takes place in Riley's posthumous consciousness, and her emotions aren't just abstractions but residual feelings left after her death? Yes, you heard that right! This theory offers a completely different take on the events of the film, and it might change how you view Inside Out. It's hard to imagine that behind the cheerful and colorful scenes, there's a dark and philosophical concept. But that's exactly what we will explore today. We'll discuss how Riley's move to a new city could symbolize her physical death, how emotions like joy and sadness play a key role in accepting her loss, and how Riley's inner world represents her attempt to realize that she's already left this world. This theory will make you see characters that seem familiar and sweet from a completely different angle. And I'm sure that once you learn about it, you'll never watch this animated movie the same way again. But before we dive into the details of this scary theory, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on new exciting videos. Like the video if you're interested in topics like this, and of course, leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm always happy to discuss theories with you because it's your opinions that make our conversations even more engaging. So, get ready for a journey into the dark yet profound philosophy of Inside Out. Let's go! Imagine that the entire movie, Inside Out, actually takes place in Riley's posthumous consciousness. This theory presents a darker interpretation of the film, where Riley's move and the changes in her life aren't just about adjusting to a new environment, but symbolize her death. Emotions like joy, sadness, and others are not merely personifications of her psyche, but residual feelings left in her mind after she has already left this world. 1. The move as a symbol of death. Riley's move to a new city and all the difficulties she faces can be interpreted as the moment of her physical death. Moving to a new house, meeting new people, this is not simply an adaptation to a new life, but a symbolic transition into another world. All the events Riley experiences in the movie are not struggles to adapt to her new life, but rather a process by which her soul tries to comprehend that she has passed away. Think about it. The move to a new house is perceived as a stressor, but it can also be seen as the moment she leaves life behind. Riley feels lost and alone, as if her world has been completely torn apart. This could be a metaphor for the disorientation one feels after death, where the connection to the world is severed, and the soul must adapt to its new condition, not fully understanding or controlling it. 2. Emotions as residual feelings after death. Instead of simply being abstractions, emotions like joy, sadness, anger, and fear in this theory become posthumous projections that attempt to help Riley adapt to her new state. These emotions can no longer control her actions as they once did when she was alive. They only react to the feelings and experiences Riley is having in her inner world. Sadness, which plays a central role in the development of the plot, symbolizes Riley's realization of her death. As the movie progresses, she learns to accept her loss, which is crucial for her spiritual progression. Joy, despite her effort to keep a positive outlook, gradually comes to understand that she cannot fight sadness and grief, because these feelings are necessary for Riley to move on to the next stage. 3. Emotions as beings, trying to keep her in the living world. An important aspect of this theory is that the emotions are not just internal mechanisms, but entities that try to keep Riley in her old life. Her inner world has become their new space, where they exist, experience, and interact with each other, but their efforts only create the illusion of life. As joy and sadness face the fact that they can no longer control Riley's emotions, they begin to understand that their power is limited. The emotions fight with one another, symbolizing an internal conflict, But none of them can ultimately help Riley return to the real world. Sadness, which represents acceptance, is ultimately the only one that can help Riley let go of her attachments to this world and move forward into peace. 4. The process of acceptance. Riley's soul's journey. Each scene in the movie can be interpreted as a stage in the process of accepting death. At some point, Riley realizes that her life is over, and everything she experiences is not a struggle against this realization, but rather a process of coming to terms with it. At the beginning of the movie, her emotions are working chaotically to keep things as they were. But with each new stage, Riley begins to understand that she can no longer control this process. Anger and fear, despite their rage and anxiety, represent the resistance to death. They try to pull Riley back into her old life, but their efforts are doomed to fail because Riley is already in another world, and her soul must go through the stages of acceptance. When Riley faces the reality that she must accept her death, sadness becomes an essential part of the process. She helps Riley understand that there was much to cherish in her life, and these memories will not vanish. Sadness teaches her to let go of fear and accept the inevitable. At this moment, the inner battle ends, and Riley can complete her journey. The symbolism of colors and the structure of Riley's inner world. Riley's inner world, much like in the first movie, consists of different zones and objects that reflect her perception of the world. In the context of this theory, these elements become symbols of different stages in the posthumous existence. For example, when Riley encounters significant chaos and destruction in her mind maze, it could symbolize the disorientation that follows death when she doesn't fully understand what's happening. The colors and shapes in this world are her perception, which changes with each step she takes in the acceptance process. In the beginning, the film is filled with bright colors, symbolizing life, but gradually, as the plot progresses, the colors become more muted, creating an atmosphere of alienation and grief. This reflects her internal struggle and changing perception of the world after she comes to realize that she is no longer alive. 6. The image of death through interactions with parents and friends. A crucial part of the acceptance process involves Riley's interactions with her parents. They cannot understand the changes she's going through because they are likely still in shock from her death. The relationship with her parents and friends in the film symbolizes Riley's attempts to hold on to the earthly world, but her soul is increasingly distancing itself from them, understanding that her time has passed. Liberation through acceptance. This scary theory, interpreting Inside Out as a symbolic journey of Riley through death, raises important questions about life, death, and the acceptance of the inevitable. The film, which initially seems simple and joyful, actually carries a deep philosophical subtext. Emotions are not just experiences, but forces that either help or hinder us in accepting our fate. Joy, sadness, anger, and fear all play their part in a process where liberation is only possible through the recognition of death and letting go of the past. This interpretation gives the film a whole new meaning, turning it into a profound metaphor about the inner journey we must go through to find peace at the end of life. And here we are at the end of this fascinating and unusual analysis. I hope that the theory suggesting Riley is already dead, and her emotions are residual feelings after death, made you view Inside Out in a completely new way. This animated film, which at first seems simple and fun, actually hides deep and philosophical themes about life, death, and the acceptance of the inevitable. We've discussed how Riley's move could be a metaphor for her death, how her emotions, like joy and sadness, play a key role in the process of accepting loss and realizing that she has already left this world. This led us to reflect on how sometimes even our feelings, which seem familiar and straightforward, can be much more complex and meaningful than we might have imagined. Of course, this is just a theory, but it's these kinds of reflections that allow us to view films and animated movies with a much deeper understanding. It's not just entertainment, it's an opportunity to ask important questions about life, and perhaps find answers to them. Movies and animated films have an incredible ability to uncover layers of human psychology and philosophy, and Inside Out is no exception. I truly hope you found it interesting and useful to discuss this theory. Share your thoughts in the comments. Perhaps you have your own ideas about what this movie actually hides. I'm always happy to discuss your thoughts and theories, as each perspective on a film makes its perception even more layered and engaging. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on new content like this. We'll continue to search for hidden meanings and analyze our favorite films and cartoons from different angles. Thank you so much for being with us. See you next time.